You know what? No, I am not going to do this. I am not going to rant. Besides, I've already made plenty of videos ranting about certain stuff. And this situation, I feel, doesn't need that. I think I need to do this from a different perspective. Not one about a guy ranting about the monster community, but a guy talking to the Monster Hunter community. Alright, look guys, can I be honest? Can I just have a real talk with you guys? These past couple of weeks for the Monster Hunter community have been a crap show. No exaggeration there. This week has been a roller coaster of emotions for all sorts of Monster Hunter fans, old and new. And honestly, being a YouTuber who does Monster Hunter makes it even worse. So, if you don't know what's happening, then you're probably new to the Monster community, or you just really don't know what's happening, in which case I will direct you to Gaijin Hunter's video, which discusses the whole topic. And while I can't explain the whole situation better than him, what I can do is talk to you guys. I want to talk with the Monster community. I don't want to rant about it anymore, and I don't want to rant about this situation. Instead of talking about it, why don't we talk to you guys? And I don't just mean a certain group of people, I mean all of us. Because honestly, this situation is pretty crappy. For those of you who don't know, allow me to sum up the experience in a nutshell. Monster Double Cross was announced for the Nintendo Switch in Japan a few weeks ago. I made a hype video about that. And then at E3 this year, Monster Hunter Worlds was announced. It wasn't going to be on any Nintendo console or platform, it wasn't going to be on the 3DS like it was the previous few games. Instead, it was going to be a console exclusive to only the PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Now of course people would be mad about the switching consoles, no duh there. I mean, there was that time in the Monster community in which Monster switched over from PlayStation to Nintendo, and now looks like it's going to do something else. And honestly, I don't mind the jumping console. It may not be Nintendo, but that doesn't mean I want the game to fail. I am pretty much looking forward to this game, and I am really hyped about it. I want to buy this game. And honestly, I really don't have a problem with the jumping console, because it makes sense. If you want a next generation, high-tech Monster Hunter game, you would obviously go for the most powerful platforms at the moment. The consoles, the PS4, the PC. Of course, you would go for that. And besides, if we were to try and put Monster World on a Nintendo console, that wouldn't work. The Switch wouldn't be able to run this. So honestly, I don't mind the whole jump from consoles. No, that's not where the true problem comes in. The true problem comes from the split fan base on how people feel. To sum up this situation, the whole problem comes down to two groups. The old generationers who grew up with generations 1 and 2, and the fresh bloods, the people who grew up with generation 3 and 4, and have most recently gone into the series. And as a guy who's more stuck down in the middle in terms of my views, in terms of the whole Monster Hunter situation, I can admit both sides do bring up valid points about Monster Hunter and world as a whole. Do I think that this is what Monster Hunter needed? To some degree, yes. If it wants to get a fan base over here in the West, one that is vocal and one that will support it, that is big, then yes, it will need to westernize the game and make it exclusively and specifically for westernized audiences. And I think that also a more emphasis on open world will help it in terms of the Western audience. Don't know about the Japanese audience, but we'll see about that. And like I said, both sides do bring up valid points. However, it's just annoying. It's just annoying to get pelted by, commented on by both sides of the argument. And don't get me wrong, some of the people in these groups are good, and I'm not saying that everyone in these groups act like this. But from what I've been seeing not just on my videos, but on tons of other videos, as well as the Monster Hunter World trailer and the assault I've been seeing. It's ridiculous. Here I am, just a guy stuck in the middle of this huge debate between the people who like the old games better, saying our generations were better, and that this is what Monster Hunter truly needed. The third and fourth generation weren't Monster Hunter games. Ugh. And then there's the Fresh Bloods who say, we don't like this game. It's not Monster Hunter. There's too many changes. I don't like the monster design. This isn't Monster Hunter. Can you see my point? Both sides do bring up valid points about Monster Hunter and World as a whole, as a franchise, but they do so at such an extreme angle, at such an extreme bias and viewpoint, that is absurd. For example, if I tried to talk to an old generationer and tell them about all the good that third and fourth generation did to improve the series and the formula, they'll just say, nah, third and fourth generation didn't improve the formula, it ruined it. The monster designs are absurd, mounting is a joke, verticality is a joke. By the way, your swimming is trash. But if I try to talk to a Fresh Blood and say that this game is going to be good, they're just going to say, no it's not man, where are all the cool looking monsters? Where's all the ridiculous and stylish action? This isn't Monster man, this isn't Monster Hunter! People, can we just calm down for a sec? The point I'm trying to get across is that both sides do bring up valid points, but they do so at such an extreme angle and such an extreme bias, whether it's for the old generations or for the new generations, that it's just stupid. Don't get me wrong, you can have your favorite game, you can have your favorite generation, and you can have your preference in design, in terms of what the monster you like looks like, and honestly, that's fine with me. But when you totally ignore everything that the series has done up till this point, just because of some nostalgia, just because of bias towards a specific generation, and bias towards a specific game, then that's where I have to draw the line. At this point, it honestly feels like as if these two sides are two violent wild dogs trying to bark and rip off each other's head, while I'm just here as a little pup just stuck in the middle of the battle getting pelted by both. And I'm sure other people feel this way as well, because it's annoying and it's difficult. I'm still getting comments from these kinds of people. And honestly, the bias between these two groups, whether it's the old generationers or the Fresh Bloods, is just ridiculous, and it is strong. The bias isn't just there, it is right there in front of my face. And while some people may say, but wait, you said some things about Monster Hunter World, you're not a true fan. Shut up with that argument. Look, alright, I know I said my share of stuff about Monster Hunter World in my previous video covering it, but here's the thing. I wasn't hating on the game. I was worried about the game. I was worried. That's the difference, guys. I wasn't flat out hating the game. In fact, I'm hyped for the game. I'm loving the gameplay so far, and I think that this may be one of the best games in the entire franchise, if not the best, right after Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. However, I'm worried about some of the gameplay mechanics. I'm worried about how the game is going to be handled, and I'm worried about how the game is going to be released and handled, both here and in Japan. Because remember, most of the Monster sales comes from Japan, and Japan is a handheld dominated market. That's why handhelds have always sold the best around there, not consoles. So if we make a console exclusive Monster, how else is it going to sell in Japan if that's where most of the sales come from? But it's westernized for West, that's where most of the money is going to come from. Sure, okay, but that's like putting all your eggs into one basket, and that's because the main audience of Monster Hunter is Japan. That's where most of the money comes from, and that's Monster Hunter's big market. And I'm worried that it may not do as well over there as it will here potentially. There's also the fact that I don't know how some of the mechanics are going to be implemented and whether they're going to be implemented right or wrong. For example, the grapple hook thing, I'm worried and interested at the same time about how it's going to be implemented into the gameplay and the design of the levels. Though I do admit it does seem kind of broken, the fact of how if you are thrown off a mount, you can just simply re-grapple onto it. I mean, I don't know, we may have to see in the future. The point is, people, I brought up those statements in my video, not because to jump on a bandwagon or to start hating Monster World. I said those statements because they were legitimate worries I had. One of my biggest worries for this franchise is that it's going to alienate the fans. That's going to isolate and alienate so many people to the point where they're just going to give up on Monster. And you know what? It's doing a freaking good job at it right now. Just look at the fanbase divide. Look at how many salty posts are on 4chan and stuff, on Reddit, that says, I'm leaving the Monster Hunter series. And while this may be big, I'm worried that it may go even further. What happens when the game is going to be released? The hardcore fans may love it, but the casuals, the new people who just got in, and other people may not like it. They may feel alienated by this franchise they've loved so much and played before that they just stop playing altogether. And what if it's vice versa? What if the old fans don't like the changes, but the new fans do? The argument I'm trying to get up is that I'm worried for both sides of the argument. I'm worried that this franchise as a whole is going to alienate a whole bunch of viewers. And honestly, it's pathetic. It's kind of ironic, you know? This whole fallout, this whole nuclear meltdown that's going on within the Godzilla community is happening because of, guess what? Salt and expectation. People wanted a Monster Hunter double cross for the Switch, and they didn't get one. Not yet. Look, I'll just tackle this argument briefly. While yes, it does suck, and while yes, I can agree that it is a legitimate bummer that they end off the 4th generation on such a low note with Generations, they didn't say that they'll not have any plans at all. They don't have any plans at the moment. They may localize Double Cross for people who really want it. But by this point, Monster World would have already come out, so who knows about that? Just for those kind of people, keep your fingers crossed. You know? It's kind of funny. Just being in this whole community, saying, oh yeah, this community is great, when there's just this big crap show going on. It's like that one picture of a dog sitting in a burning house and just saying, this is fine. Monster community in a nutshell, basically. And honestly, I am ashamed of this community for what it's doing. I mean, not to pull out the big words card, or not to try and sound dramatic, but really, it's stupid. Why are we arguing over this in the first place? Why are we complaining about this in the first place? And why are we fighting over each other's opinions and what we say? Why should we be having this civil war with each other when we should be united as one? When we should be united and looking forward eagerly to the next generation of Monster Hunter. Everyone has their own expectations and fears, and trust me, I do too. But it's just stupid that we are attacking each other for having different viewpoints. Old generationers, you're part of the blame. Fresh bloods, you're part of the blame as well. The point is, we're all part of a blame. So instead of shifting the blame, instead of shifting the salt onto one another, saying, oh, how does it feel now, Nintendrones or Sony fanboys, we should instead be connected. We should try and connect ourselves after this. And I know that with time, the Monster Hunter community will be repaired, but at the moment, it's just terrible. It feels like I can't say a single word, a single opinion about either side, about either the old generations or the new generations, or about even Monster Hunter World for a matter, without getting shot down the middle by both sides or someone else. I hate it. And honestly, about the whole alienating fear I have, it's already doing a pretty freaking good job at it. And I'm worried that if this situation continues up, that it will alienate even more fans, and eventually Monster World won't be given a chance by certain fans, whether it's the old people or the new people will have to see. Fellow fans of the monster community, I have this to say, and I'm speaking this from yours truly. Me, not as some person online known as the Monarch of Dragons. No, I'm talking to you guys from me. That we should be united, not divided by our passion. Look at all that Monster Hunter has done. It has brought together so many communities, so many people, and without Monster Hunter, I wouldn't have made as many friends as I have had now. So Hellkite, Red Leopard, even Doom, a close associate on my channel, who you may know from my Terraria Let's Play, I wouldn't probably know without Monster Hunter. Without Monster Hunter, I wouldn't be here making Monster Hunter content. Heck, I'd probably not even be here at all as the Monarch of Dragons as people know me as. And so, I say that instead of letting this whole situation divide us, instead of having this whole situation, this fan base split us down the middle even more, instead of having a civil war, that let us be united as one. For let us put aside all of our differences and opinions that we may have, and let us be united as one, not as separate groups, not as separate individuals, not as people who are known for arguing over each other. Let us be known as a community.